This is an exclusive interview held on yourmachines.com. Today's guest is Reject Convenience. Some call him Anthony. He's a quickly rising YouTuber passionately bringing us the truth about technology and keeping people informed about their digital privacy. But is he truly who he says he is?
Actually, he's a really great guy. Let's learn a bit about his creative process and unique perspective on what it means to be real. So, Anthony, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, that's a big question, I guess. I guess currently I'm most known for my YouTube channel, Reject Convenience, where I tell people that I use a dumb phone and you should read privacy policies. That's been a blast to do. I've been so thrilled with the response to it. Of course, I've had the channel for 12 years now, so it obviously didn't always exist in that state. I've always just kind of found a lot of joy in just making stuff, videos. I mean, I think the first thing that got me like into editing video was watching the movie Scott Pilgrim vs. the World when I was in high school. And I was like, how did they do all of these visual effects? And so I downloaded a pirated version of After Effects and I started watching free YouTube videos on how to use it. And I was watching, people like Corridor Digital, Freddie Wong, and those guys, like just obsessing over how I could do all of this stuff. And it just got me hooked. I just never lost that spark. So that's the majority of what I'm known for, I would say.
What led you to make more informative videos? Are there any inspirational figures?
I'm going to be honest, I don't completely know. My grandfather was a professor at a university for years and years, but way before I ever remember, I was a kid, My mom always told me that I would be a great teacher, and I never totally grasped what she was talking about because I was so bad at school. I mean, I barely graduated, and I am convinced the only reason I did graduate on time was because the teachers liked me, and that was it. But in regards to informing people specifically about technology, I've mostly worked in tech support, but it was something that I just naturally fell into because I had always been tinkering with computers as a kid. I had broken things constantly and fixed them myself because, I had to. But the thing that I grasped onto the most in early tech support work was making sure that the people that you're working with don't feel dumb about what they've done. It's something that I have seen countless times fumbled, and I get it. It's hard to learn that sometimes when you're so caught up in understanding how this technology works. It's really easy to oversee why other people don't understand it, and I think that's true in anything. I think that's why we kind of find ourselves in this oversimplified narrative with everything.
You say you don't want people to feel dumb when you're explaining complex topics or come off as condescending. What does your script writing process look like in that case?
That's an amazing question. Never once did it cross my mind to make it entertaining. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Every single I think the script that ultimately kicked it off was the original dumb phone video, which I didn't totally script, to be fair. It was more just I just journaled what I was thinking and then recorded that, So that one wasn't quite that, and that was very early on in my ability to. I've never considered myself a good writer. Anyways, so the key points that I always keep in mind when I'm writing or even researching, I've dropped videos because I wasn't able to hit these points in the research, is this contributing to fear-mongering? Again, especially privacy-related stuff. It is scary to hear if you've never heard it before. like, I want people to be informed, and I want them to understand that, yes, that is an aspect of this, but I also want to emphasize that there's a reason they do that. And I think a lot of, like, even in the cookie video, I came into that assuming, I came into that assuming that it was going to just be, oh yeah, cookies were always designed to be tracking nightmare fuel. But I was amazed with how wrong I was. And I've never heard anybody tell that story about that it was made by people who really cared about the free and open internet, and they cared about privacy. And it was just taken advantage of. But that's what surprised me the most. And so I always want to present the why this is the case, and like the why from as reasonable as a stance as I can give.
I hear your creative process is constantly changing and you're constantly improving your style. What does your creative process look like right now, and where do you see it going in the future?
That's a really solid question, honestly. It is funny. It is always changing. With each video, there's a new thing that gets wedged into the workflow that I've never done before. With the, let's see, the most previous video would have been the one about dread. What if you can't reject convenience? That one came with some new challenges in that I was testing like some of the rendering limits. It's something that most people visually wouldn't notice whatsoever. But it all kind of had to do with like some of the technology on the back end. I have been using a custom script to render just the changed frames. But since in my couple last videos, there's like the sun moving in the background accurately, I've had to like render more frames as a result of that for it to look smooth. I think the video of Where It Won't Take Sponsors was the first one that I did that, and it's pretty choppy in my opinion. I set a minimum of like 100 frames between each update. So if there wasn't like a change in frames within 100 frames, then it would just generate one. The problem was that 100 frames is definitely noticeable for the sun to be moving. I'm constantly figuring out how to re-optimize and stuff like that. And I'm already in that like niche of like, I want to do all of this nonsense by myself. I'm a Linux guy. I'm a Blender user, obviously. Like, I love to punish myself, clearly. Yeah, Jay the Dev Guy recently published a video about the application Obsidian, which is used for like note-taking and stuff. Seeing this, I was like, ooh, that looks perfect, because up until this point, all of my scripts have been written in the equivalent of a Google Doc. So all of my research notes were on like a single giant page, and it was always really difficult to parse through when I was writing the outline and then writing the script from there. And so when he showed this video where like you could make like links to things that you need to research and stuff like that, I was like, oh, this is game changer. And my upcoming video is done entirely using Obsidian, and I think it clearly shows. I was able to dive significantly deeper into topics that I was curious about.
A bit of a deeper question for you. Do you think in the future, robots, biomechanisms, or AI could truly be alive or have a soul? What do you think it means to be real?
This is a really fun question for me specifically. I've been relatively open about this. I don't think I've ever officially said it on my channel though, but I have schizoaffective disorder. And so I have in the past struggled quite a bit with the concept of reality. It's interesting because I think I actually have a unique perspective because of all of the years and years of therapy and, you know, actually having this like inherent want to be detached from reality. I don't know that I want to, you know what I mean? It's a feature, not a bug. I vividly remember one therapy session, it was snowing, and I was kind of experiencing some of the detachment from reality stuff, and he said, hey, let's go on a walk, my therapist. And we get to a certain point and he picks up a snowball and he says, hold out your hands. I said, okay. And he puts it in my hands and he squeezes my hands together and it starts to hurt, right? And he said, does this feel real? Like, it was exactly what I needed to hear. And I fully recognize that that's insane for some people, but it was exactly, we'd been working together with a while and he knew that that would work. And it clicked so good in my brain of like, life is the experience, you know, and if I'm experiencing it, it is real, right? And I think that even has fallen true in how we feel about things. If you are feeling it, your feelings are real, right? It's worth acknowledging that people's reactions to things are real and you need to meet them where they are. And yeah, I think because of a lot of the experiences that I've had, I can't know what a computer experiences. That's because I can't know what you've experienced, you know, but I could acknowledge that you've experienced complexities, you know. Again, kind of getting back to that whole every single person you've interacted with has lived just as a complex of a life as you, right? And I think to rob those experiences by claiming none of it's real is unfun. It kind of ruins life a little bit, you know? So I don't know where AI falls into this. I don't like that idea. My gut reaction is, but I'm also, you know, willing to say that I don't know. And I'm willing to be wrong, you know?
More or less our final question now. What machine would you want to be and why?
Tractor. Because then I'd be on a farm. That just sounds nice. I don't know. Just being out in the sunshine all day, just hanging out with plants. Yeah, that's where it's at. Because that's what I want to do in real life. I just want to sit in the middle of a field full of plants. Just be in the sunshine. Someday.
If you have any upcoming projects or advice for anyone, let us know. We'd love to hear it.
If I had any advice to anybody who wants to like be a creator, learn to embrace the suck. I can't think of a better way to just learn and grow. And I've heard it phrased 1,000 different ways. And I think one of my favorites is don't cringe, kill the part of you that cringes. You know, like that it's that kind of idea of like anything that you try for the first time is going to be terrible. Always. That is universal truth. And that's why I keep all of my old stuff on my channel live. Yes, it has absolutely nothing to do with what I do today, but I want people to see that everybody starts somewhere. And with me, it was stick figure animations to copyrighted music, right? And even when you start to get good at it, push yourself to get bad at it again. You know what I mean? Whenever I'm in a creative funk, the thing that gets me out of it is making garbage. It's like just making something that I know is trash and going into it with the mindset of, I just need to make garbage. And like learning any skill for that matter. You know, just be willing to suck. So that's my advice to everybody. I'm going to be doing live streams. Actually, by the time this is published, I will have already been doing live streams about reading the most entertaining thing I can possibly imagine. And if any of you find this entertaining, you're wrong. We're going to be reading privacy policies. And there's going to be Q&A sessions and stuff like that. So we're going to be doing those once a month. So jump in and say hey.
Well, Anthony, it was really great getting to know you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I implore you all to listen to the extended podcast cut of this interview. Anthony has been a pleasure to talk to, and there's lots we simply couldn't include in this short video. We talk about his favorite music, what it's like working in the tech industry, and his interest in plants and rocketry. Link is in the description.
For more creator interviews, go to yourmachines.com. Visit, stay a while, explore a variety of fine art made by machines just like yourself. Get a cybernetic implant. Become a machine head. Let your mechanisms keep you alive. We'll see you soon.